So this is where we stopped yesterday. And like I mentioned, in order for you to solve any percentage problem, as you will see, number one and number two is very identical. 3 and 4 is identical, and 5 and 6 are identical. They are the same type. So this is the only three combination of percentage problem that you will use. So for me, the easiest way to do it for me is I use the translation method. So the translation method is basically tell me this. Whenever I see the word what number or what percent, that will be my unknown value, unknown variable. So I don't know what that value, what that number, what that percent is. I list as an X. And as you will see, whatever we don't know, we just put an X and then we find out later. Whenever you see the percentage, meaning 35%, 9%, 50%, 5%, whenever you see the percentage symbol, we need to change it to decimal. And again, to change to decimal, you just need to move 2 decimal places to the left. And if you have a decimal and you want to translate to convert back to percentage, you need to move it to the right, right? Every time you see the word off, as you can see, the word off is here, the word off, the word off, the word off. Every problem have the word off. The word off translates to multiplication operation. And every time you see the word is, you translate to an equal sign. So we did this yesterday and we attacked the first problem. I mentioned what number, I don't know what number, that's why I put an X. The word is tell me to put in the equal sign. The percentage, which is 35%, I need to convert to a decimal, which is 0.35. The word off tell me to multiply, and 120 is just 120. So again, looking at this item, my X is by itself. I have X equal to 0.35 times 100. So my X is by itself. I don't need to solve for X because X is already by itself. All I need to do is do whatever the operation tell me to do, which is 0.35 multiplied to 120. And my X is by itself, I'm done. That is my answer, right? And question with number one. And if you look at number two, it's the same idea, same concept. We see percentage, we need to convert this to a decimal, which is move 2 places to the left, which is 1, 2. Therefore, you need a 0 between a decimal and a number. 9% is 0.09. And then the word off, tell me that it's multiplication. 34 is just 34, nothing, there's no sugar coating. The word is equal, and the word what number, I don't know what number, so therefore that is my X. And the only difference between this problem and number one is your X is on the left for number one, and over here your X is on the right. But again, it doesn't make any difference. Your X is by itself. All you need to do is type in your calculator, which is 0.09 times 34, which is if you take 0.09 times 34, you will get 3.06, which is the number that you have. And if you go to a mall and you see a jean or a dress or whatever, it say it's $34 and we will give you 9% off, right? 9% off of the $34, meaning you save $3.06, right? So 9% off of the $34, you save $3.06. It's not that you pay $3.06, right? You have to take 34 minus this, which is $30.94 that you pay, but you save $3.06, okay? So that's the idea of the percentage, right? We try to see if we save what we save or what we pay, okay? So let's take a look at 3. Well, first of all, question with 2, I'm sorry. So everybody, question of how I got the number, how I translate them, and how do I do the operation for number 2. And number 3 is same thing go. We have 16, which is no sugar, no colon, right? 16 is just 16. The word is tell me that is equal. What percent? I don't know what percent, so I put my X. Off tell me to multiply. 50 tell me 50, right? 50 is just 50. So looking at this thing here, the difference between this number 3 problem versus number 2 problem is there are some number lingering with your X. Right here, there's nothing in front of your X is isolated, you're good to go. This item here, because there's some number with the X, which is we have to get rid of this number. And how do we get rid of this number? Because of the operation is multiplication, we need to divide. And as the same, we divide 50 over 50, that's equal to 1, which is my X is by itself. I got that. Now 16 divided by 50, that's what I have. I divide on one side, I need to divide on the other. And if I divide this thing here, 16 divided by 50, I have 0.32. 0.32. So the problem comes is, ladies and gentlemen, if you remember or not remember, if you look at this question, they ask you what percent. They ask you this question here, what percent of 50 is 16, right? So is this percent? Is this answer in percent? Hopefully you say no, because that is in decimal. So looking at this thing here, because they ask you per percent, we need to convert this percentage or this decimal to percentage. And again, how do I convert the decimal to percent? I need to move the decimal place 2 places to the right, okay? So I need to move the decimal place 2 places to the right. And if I have 2 places to the right, that is what I have in terms of 32%. So 32% of 50, if you have $50 and 30% of 50, 32% of $50 would be $16, okay? So the only thing different with 3 is because they ask you for the percent, you need to convert your decimal to the percent. Question with number 3. And same thing go with number 4, right? Number 4, if you look at this thing here, you can see that number 4, they ask you the same thing. What percent? So I don't know what percent, that is why I put an X. Off, tell me that is multiply. 120 is just 120. Is, tell me is equal to 24 is 24. So question how to translate, how did I have this word item? What percent of 120 is 24? Equal to this algebraic. And again, hopefully you can see, math is not hard. This is the math, ladies and gentlemen. This is your math right here. You have X multiplied to 120 equal to 24. How do you get rid of 120? Well, to get rid of 120, we need to divide. That is the math portion. So the math portion, we've been doing this. This should not be hard, right? The hardest part is how can you take the English, the word, translate to the math, right? So once you have this thing here, do you agree that we have 24 divided by 120? And if you type in your calculator, 24 divided by 120, you should get some decimal, which is 0.2. And if you have 0.2, do you agree that that is not my answer because they asked me what percent? 0.2 meaning 20%. You have to move the decimal 2 places, either move the decimal or multiply by 100. However, you remember that's what you need to do. You take the decimal, multiply to 100 to get you the percentage, okay? So question with 3 or 4? So everybody good with 3 and 4 here? So if you don't have question, let's take a look at the last problem, which is the last problem we have is the other type of problem we have is this item here, which is, as you can see, remember, whenever you see a percent, whenever you see the percent, reminder, we need to convert this to decimal. And to convert this to decimal, 50% is 0.50. The word off tell me to multiply. What number? I don't know what number. That is why it's my x is, meaning equal 12. It's just 12, which is, as you can see, unlike number 2, my x is by itself in number 2. Number 5, there is some number in front of my x, or some operation dealing with my x. And if you see that 3, 4, and 5, the operation that deal with your x is multiplication. And by now, you should know that to get rid of multiplication, I need to divide. And again, I need to divide by 0.5. So 0.5 and 0.5, they cancel out. That will give me my x. And 12 divided by 0.5, 12 divided by 0.5, this thing will give me 24, right? So 24, meaning again, if you look at this thing here, 50% of 24, what is half of 24, right? 50% is half. What is half of 24? Well, half of 24 is equal to 12, right? If something is $24 and they say, oh, we give you 50% off, well, you pay $12 or you save $12 because 24 is half of 24 is equal to 12, okay? So that is the idea of this problem. And the reason why I give you number 5 and number 6 is hopefully you guys see that number 6 is not 50%. Number 6 is only 5%. Make sure that you see that it's 5%. Or looking at this thing here, we know that we have 17 equal to 0.05. Because when you move 2 decimal places to the left, there's a gap between a decimal and a number. You have to fill that gap in with the 0. Off tell me to multiply what number, I don't know, so that will be my x. If you don't like to fight for x, you can put in y. If you don't like to fight for y, you can put in n, a smiley face if you want to. Just kidding. This x is any number, anything that you want to looking for, right? Because we don't know, that is unknown value. And again, doesn't matter where your x is on the left or on the right. Your goal is we need to get rid of this 0.05. And to get rid of 0.05 consistently, we need to divide. And if we divide by 0.05 to the left, we need to divide by 0.05 on the right, which give us 17 divided by 0.05, which give you 340. So again, 5% of 340 is 17. So if you buy a TV, $340, and they say we give you 5%, 5%, meaning you save $17. Okay. First of all, question with this 6 problem, or question with the 5 problem you have on your screen right now. So you got good with this type of problem on Saturday when you see this problem again. All right. If you don't have question, let's finish up this material, which is the last item I have, is 2.8, just the introduction. The only thing that on your test, on your quiz, or on your first group, on your first material related to 2.5 is just the introduction. We are not solving inequality. Solving inequality, that's what we're going to do tomorrow. And those material will be on the next test. This will not be on this test, but on the next test, okay? But the only thing that you are responsible for the test, this common test, is you need to know what is the difference between an expression, what is a difference between inequality, and what is the difference in terms of the equation. So they ask you to determine which of this item, or is this item, what is their criteria, right? So if you look at A, and if you remember, prior to this section, I told you that as long as there is no equal sign, as long as there's no equal sign, then this we call an expression, right? Because they don't have any equal sign, this is an expression. They don't tell you to solve, they don't tell you to do anything. They probably, on the test, they probably tell you to combine like term, which is 4 plus 3 will give you 7x. We did this in earlier item, which combined like term, which is this is your expression, right? They do not have an equal sign or they do not have an inequality symbolic or symbol. So once we have this thing here, and again, you probably see now for B, we have this item. And again, this item is your, ladies and gentlemen, this is your inequality symbolic or symbol, which is as long as your expression have an inequality, we call this an inequality item or inequality equation. Now, tomorrow we will solve for this thing here. Tomorrow we will have to find for x. But for today, just identify if it's an inequality, an expression, or the equal equation, right? So hopefully you see that, again, this is the 3 items. If they don't have an equal sign or they don't have an inequality, we call it expression. If they have an inequality, we say it's an inequality. If they have an equal sign, we call that this is a equation. And again, the equation is basically we have an equal sign. So those are your 3 items, which is very easily to identify. Hopefully you guys can see. What about D here? Well, D, we have a inequality symbolic. Doesn't matter if it's less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. As long as they have one of these 4 items, is the inequality. And again, doesn't matter if they have a parenthesis or not. If you look at E, they don't have an equal sign and they don't have an inequality. So again, if they're missing those 2 items, we say that this is an expression. And for now, hopefully you guys see that F is a equation, right? So again, those are the difference between the 3, which is the expression. They don't have any equal sign or anything. Inequality, they must have an inequality, and the equal sign is your equation. And that is all that they ask you, or that your responsibility for 2.8. Okay, so again, tomorrow we will do more of 2.8, but those items that we do in 2.8 for tomorrow will not be on the test. So don't get confused when we see something tomorrow. But question with this 3 item or 3 item or 6 problem here. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of your material for this first test. Let me ask you guys, see if you guys can do this 4. Let's review. Since you don't have any question, let me ask you guys to see, take 10 minutes. See if you can do this 4 problem. I have another 3 problem after this. So this will be your review for your test. So see if you can do this 4 problem. I will come back and we will go over.